welcome to our YouTube channel. My name is Adeola. On today's content, I'll be making a Efo Riro and Fufu with some assorted beef. Let's dive right into it. The ingredients used to make the Efo Riro include spinach, tomatoes, habanero, bell pepper, onions, palm oil, salt, seasoning, all-purpose seasoning, minced garlic, locust beans, beef, stockfish, gizzards, chicken, and honeycomb. So let's start by prepping the shaki. So I already pre-cleaned the shaki. So the shaki is clean and it's ready to go. So I added the clean and rinsed shaki to the pot, and now I'm adding some water to let it simmer a little bit before I add the ingredients to the shaki. I do like my shaki soft, so that's why I had that much water. It's about 2 cups of water. So now I'll be adding the seasoning. Most people use different type of seasoning, but I use the beef knorr. I get this from Walmart. You can use any type of seasoning, just season to your taste. I do like to add all-purpose seasoning because I like it gives it some kind of smell that I do like. So I'm gonna be adding all-purpose seasoning to my shaki. Then I'll be adding minced garlic, salt, and chopped onions. I like to chop my onions because I don't like them huge in my food. Most of the time, I don't like to see onions in my food. So that's why I like to chop them really, really small. I also added some smoked paprika to the shaki to give it some color. So now I'm going to stir everything together and I'll cover it and let it cook for about 15 to 20 minutes or until it's soft. So now let's prep the gizzard. I have rinsed the gizzard and I'll be adding seasoning to it. I just added Maggi, which is the knorr, to it, salt, and paprika. So paprika actually has garlic and pepper in it. That gives it some color as well. So I'm going to let it cook for about 5 minutes and then it's done. I'll cover it up. Now I'll check on the shaki. I just turn it so that it could evenly cook. So that's what I'm doing here. And I'm going to cover it up again and let it cook for another 5 to 10 minutes. While I'm waiting for shaki and gizzards to cook, I'm going to marinate the chicken so I can bake it. So I already washed the chicken. I just added seasoning to it, the Maggi knorr, and I'm adding black pepper to give it some spice. I'm also going to add salt and garlic. That's paprika. So I'm just going to mix everything together so that the ingredients will be evenly distributed. I also added oil to my chicken because I'll be baking it. So I like to put oil on my chicken. So after everything is mixed, I'm going to put everything in the baking pan. I already lined my baking pan with foil. So I'm putting that in. I already started my oven. I preheated my oven to at 350. So I'm going to put that and I'll let it cook. So I think that takes about 30 to 20 minutes. While other things are still cooking, I'm going to start chopping my peppers for the Efo Riro. So what I always do is I always slice my pepper just to make sure they chop properly. And on my blender, I always use chop. I don't like my pepper to be fully grinded whenever I want to make Efo Riro. I kind of like the coarse texture of the peppers, so that's why I chop them. So with my Efo Riro, I like to use tomatoes. I know some people don't use tomatoes. This just depends on your personal preferences. I mean, I prefer to use tomatoes. So now that I'm almost done chopping the peppers, I'm going to put that on my blender and I'm going to use the chop settings on my blender to blend the pepper. That kind of gives the coarse texture that I want. So I'm going to chop it for 1 minute. Now that the meats are ready to go, I'm going to start cooking. So that's the beef, and that's the cooked shaki, and the cooked gizzards, and the stock fish. Now this is my vegetable. I know some people use fresh spinach and other kind of vegetables like collard greens, kale, and amaranthus, but I am using frozen vegetable spinach. So I got this from Walmart. I put this in warm water so that first could defrost. And now I'm just kind of rinsing it off the water. I use my two ends to squeeze it so as to get as much water as I can out of the vegetable. Now that we have prepped all the ingredients, let's start cooking the vegetables. The first thing that I'm going to do is add palm oil to the hot pot. So I'm going to wait for about a minute and let the oil let it warm up before I start adding other things to it. I already chopped the onions that I'll be using. I already have my locust beans ready. So I just put the onions in the oil and I'm going to let it simmer for about a minute or two until the onion is translucent. Now I'm putting my locust beans in and I'm going to mix everything together with the onions and let it simmer as well for about a minute before I add my pepper. Let's add the pepper now. After everything is being simmered already and it's time to cook the pepper. So that's the chopped pepper. And I'm going to mix everything together before I start adding seasoning to it. So everything is simmered and I'm going to start putting the seasoning in the pepper. So I'm going to add knorr, that's the seasoning. I'm also going to add salt and all-purpose seasoning. Also, this is another thing that you can actually season to your taste. You can add ginger, you can add garlic. So I did add a garlic to mine. And I'm adding some paprika. So now I'm going to mix everything together. And I'm going to cover it up after mixing it and let it cook to get the raw taste of the pepper out. So now I'm adding my beef. That's the stock fish. And I'm going to add the shaki. And now the gizzards. I love gizzards. Mix everything together evenly and then cover it up after mixing. I'm going to cover the sauce up now and let it cook for 5 to 10 minutes. Now that sauce is ready, I'm going to add the spinach to the sauce. That's the spinach. I'm adding it into the sauce. And now I'm going to stir everything together until the spinach is evenly distributed. So I added a little water so I could easily stir the spinach that I added. And now I'm just going to cover it up for about a minute or two and let it simmer, and our Efo Riro is done. I like to turn my stove to medium heat so that I won't change the color of the spinach. Now that Efo Riro is done, I'm going to make fufu. So that's going to be my side for the sauce. Wait until the water is boiled before you start making your fufu. I always set some water aside in case I need it later. Now I'm adding the fufu flour to the water and just continue to stir until you have the desired consistency. You don't want it to be too soft and you don't want it to be too hard. So kind of like medium consistency. Continue to stir until you have the desired consistency and firmness. I added water to it because I do not have the desired consistency and I want the fufu to be properly cooked. I know this when the color changed to bright yellow. Now that the fufu is fully cooked, I'm going to serve it. Now that the fufu is done, I'm going to serve it with the vegetable soup. You can eat that with different sides, just pick it the side of your choice. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment.